Vincent,
Hello.
hello. I left that space, so they were being a bit silly, but it was sort of getting a little serious. Somebody asking about secular Quranism, but Carol's there, so she can talk about it um, on my behalf. So we'll see. Anything on your mind, Vincent?
No, you saw that there was a Noahide prayer at a Trump rally. You saw that?
I think it's nothing sinister. I mean, it's like, I guess when rabbis feel that they have to say something to Gentiles, they just feel they have to talk about the Noahide laws. I don't think it's
Oh.
anything kind of new.
Well, no, I mean, to mention the Noahide laws at a presidential rally is significant. It's not, he didn't look if an imam mentioned the Sharia laws at a Trump rally or at a Democrat rally, people would be quite upset. If he said if he gave a prayer and he said that, we're supposed to follow the Sharia, then, people would be like, what? Everyone would be up in arms. But because he said Noahide, it's okay.
Yeah, I think the reason is one is general and universal and, not kind of to be taken, that seriously. And the other is, that, it's been around for 1400 years and, there's a whole bunch of precedents and legal tradition associated with it. And, there will, it'll be associated with law and, courts and punishments and things. Well, it's sort of like actually, it was Jen Sharf who said, well, the Jews, they haven't lived in their own theocracy for over 2,000 years. They have nothing to teach us. And it's true. They all they've been doing for the past 1,700 years or so is assimilate and not really teach the Noahide laws because they're too scared to tell the Christians they are idolaters. Not
Yeah,
that
well,
Muslims are any better.
yeah, no, everyone is scared to tell the Christians off, and it's horrible how much power they have. And, I can't stand the amount of power they have. And, I'm going through these, where was I talking to Christians or looking at Christians? I just look at their videos and they're just so dumb. They're so like, they're like rabid animals. There's something wrong with them. It's like, uh, there's like a lack of clear thinking and clear perspective there that's hard to deal with and sad to look at and aggravating and makes you angry because um
Because it's so insane. I deal with it every day. I actually go around telling Christians that they are idolaters and they don't care or they pretend not to get it. And I've been doing a lot of that today. And it's like, oh, I've told you, oh, Jay Dyer is my guide. And, you know, and you said, well, I know Jay Dyer has been uh, arguing with Muslims. It's like, which argument did he win? And they say, Google is your friend, and you know, shit like that. And it's like they don't even know that Jay Dyer had lost the argument again and again. And I kind of followed her advice and I looked up Jay Dyer and Muslims and when you present it in that way to Google, you'll have pro Jay Dyer videos like Jay Dyer and Sam Shamoon, kick Muslim ass or something like that. Like they won, and when you ask the next question, the obvious next question, which is how did they win the argument? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the argument was even about. And then you look at the title of the stupid stream and it's like it's nothing at all. So I was just saying, if you really want to argue about something, it has to be a statement, it has to be a proposition, it has to be a question. Is XY or or should X be done? Something like that. So at least you can focus your words on addressing the question. But people don't even know how to frame it like that. It'd be, ooh, Christian v. Muslim. It's like, well, is it going to be, a real battle, or just, it has to be about something. And people don't even know. And of course, nowadays, you can't do a formal debate because people just won't be able to concentrate for long enough for either party to finish their opening speech. It's like, you sort of have to sum up your position and make your points. And then, the listeners have to remember after understanding what you said, and probably they won't be able to understand what the hell you said. And therefore the only way to do it in a way that people can understand is through a dialogue. So it would be A said this, and then B said that, and A said that, and and they have to be very short, sentences for people to follow it even. And Twitter is a perfect platform, not Spaces, but Twitter itself.
God,
And
no,
people, you know,
yeah, people have just become so dumb that, they really can't pay attention to things. They can't, they have very limited attention span. And it's also the lack of seriousness, the lack of caring about anything serious. And, people, what I don't like about the modern culture and the right is that everyone is just waiting to make a punchline, like a joke. You know what I mean? Like, if you look
the
at these
gotcha moment.
yeah, it's like if you look at all these right wing men, they never just like post a fact. It always is couched in a joke. You know what I mean? Like everything is trying to be funny, like trying to be like, make your pun and be a shit poster and all this other kind of stuff, which is annoying.
Yeah, because they're not proper arguments. So you might get a laugh or two, but nobody is any the wiser. And so it's so important that people are able to follow because, yeah, okay, maybe in theory you've got 3 hours to make your point, but nobody's going to listen to you all the way through. But Twitter is perfect in that, if you don't pay, you're stuck with 250 characters, right? And you have to make your point within that. But at least what you're sure about on X is that they did finish, did finish reading your tweet. Well, you're not sure if you read a book that they will ever buy your book, or if they even order it, whether they'll ever read it, or if it's a blog post, and if it's over you know X number of words, if people will read it all the way to the end or understand it. So, we kind of have to understand how limited most people are. And therefore the Socratic dialogue is the only way to go. Because in the time of the ancient Athenians, they didn't have, people with enough patience to listen to long speeches. I'm sure even the ancient Athenians had a life to get on with. So they'd have to, be very, they actually learned oratory and how to speak properly and use all the, ideas to make their point clearly, quickly, etc. And in a way that is grammatically correct. And the thing is, it's okay if people don't agree with you as long as they understand what you're saying. If they remember what you're saying, they can remember it 3 years later, right? And then it might make sense. I don't know if you ever had a moment of revelation when somebody's been saying something to you and you never got it until they were dead and gone, and you think, oh, so that was what Granddad meant when he said, blah blah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that you can remember these simple arguments and yeah, simple arguments.
Exactly. And even if you didn't agree with them, and even if you hated being told those things, they were presented in a way, quick, briefly and clearly enough for you to remember, and to kind of keep in the storage of your mind to spring out at you, you know, whenever. So I think, in a way, having all these sort of long form, podcasts, it's like, yeah, you can go on and on and on and on for hours and hours and hours, but nobody's ever going to even think of starting to watch your 8 hour space. So you might as well not have bothered, you know?
Well, that's, I mean, people,
No, I'm not
like,
saying you personally, but I mean, sometimes it's necessary. But we can imagine ourselves being confronted with an 8 hour space and thinking those thoughts. But at the time, it was entertaining, and maybe we can remember something out of that. I do find your long spaces helpful, because a lot is revealed, and the fact that they're recorded means that, if you have the time to go over them, you'll find that you miss a lot of nuance that you missed when you were, as a participant.
mhm.
But obviously nobody has the time to go through all the, and so a lot of the information is also lost. So even when we sat around for 8 hours in a space, being host or co-host or participant, sometimes we ourselves, miss, the gems of our own spaces because we weren't there, right? We went to the kitchen, we went to, the bathroom or whatever.
Right.
And really, what we need is somebody to, listen for us. Okay, maybe AI can do it, but okay. Well, the point I'm trying to make is that we stories are the best way of making the point. Because if you look at all the cults that you have studied, there's always a story and a value. Like, what's her name, who said don't go to, avoid doctors and hospitals. You
Carol
know,
Balizette. Carol Balizette.
Yes, I know, and you admired her, and I think, because she was a reasonably attractive woman, and she was considered an expert because she was a nurse and she knew all those doctors and stuff and medical procedures, and how hospitals would conspire to fleece you of your money. Um, um, people were happy to be told to avoid doctors because they hated going to hospitals and doctors anyway. Particularly if you have, if it's all, if you had to pay for it, right? So Americans would be in particular horror of hospital fees. I mean, it's a thing in Monopoly, right? Community chest. You have hospital fees, or hundreds of bucks or whatever. Um, so um, I think stories are important because, I sort of know what you were trying to do yesterday with Core Cab. You're trying to create a narrative, and you are in difficulties because, your narrative is not simple, because you are straying from the oneness of God, and then you're going to have to say it's two, and then somebody's going to say, how do you know it's two? How do you know it's not even more than two? Who
Well, I said it has to be more than two.
Okay, well then you have to make up a story.
No, I don't, because they have their own story. Whatever your pagan story is, whatever you want to believe your father was Zeus, go ahead. But you just got to follow this. It just has to be within a certain bound. Your theology has to be within a certain bound, and you have to follow the natural laws, and that's about it. I'm not telling people that somebody split a sea, and I'm not doing that.
Okay, you don't need to, because it's like, okay, I'm basically going with the narrative that's already there, but obviously making more, well, making it make sense to the 21st century Westerner, because there's no way we, however good the story that we create, we're ever going to trump the narrative that's been there for 2,000 years.
Well, you
Right?
don't
We,
know
we
that. I
can't
mean, you
we
don't.
can't
You
overturn
don't-
the story of Moses or Jesus and Muhammad.
we can't overturn them, but well, but I'm looking for people who don't need fake stories in order to, it's like, I was taught the Bible literally, and I don't, I don't want to have to, tell people these, none of that stuff ever even happened.
So this is
You
what
really think Jonah got swallowed by a whale?
no, but the story is that
Okay,
of
well,
redemption.
it's a stupid narrative to say somebody got swallowed by a whale. People believe that this actually happened.
Okay, people want to believe that good is rewarded and evil punished.
You're
Are you
talking
going
about the
to are you going to
narrative.
mock them? Are you going to mock these people?
You're talking about the narrative. If you need to believe that God came out of the clouds and handed emerald tablets to Moses and all this other mystical, magical stuff, then I don't want anything to do with you. If you need that in order to not murder and
Well, I'm
kill,
afraid most people are like that.
well, that I'm not looking for most people, and I'm looking to destroy most people. I'm looking to replace most people, and it's not. I have a different agenda than you have. I don't want to go to a mass of stupid people and tell them stories and get them to follow me. I don't want to do that.
So how are you going to get things done?
Yeah, by getting people to realize that polytheists need natural protection, and it's natural law to outlaw monotheism and only allow polytheism, agnosticism, and atheism. And that's about it. You want a narrative? Go read a mythology book.
Okay, so who's going to get on board with your plan to make women extinct?
No, this is different. We're talking about secular paganism, not that's a different thing. I'm just talking about secular paganism is for all the sexes and races and everything like that.
Okay, so you have projects that will contradict your other projects, right?
That's okay. Whichever one gets out there, whatever, if it's piecemeal, that project, this project, if secular paganism gets in and the gay agenda doesn't get in, I'll feel as though I accomplished something. If somebody accepts one of the laws but not the rest, I'll feel as though I accomplished something. You know what I mean? You can accomplish, it's like I don't come from your culture of you need to take over the whole country. Charles Taze Russell was successful in his lifetime, but he didn't. Now he has 8 million followers. He didn't have 8 million followers when he first started out, and you know what I mean. Like you don't need to take over.
What do you hope to achieve? What is
Okay,
it that
if I have 8 million followers 100 years from now, I'll feel as though I've done something.
Okay, I mean, don't you think you need to make the most of your particular
Okay, yes,
position?
but I don't. I don't want to deal with stupid people. That's what happened with Hitler. Hitler was smart and tried to take over the whole country, and I think he just realized that he was surrounded by a bunch of fucking idiots and got annoyed, and it's just like these people. It's annoying. I don't want to deal with stupid people. I don't. I'd
Okay,
rather
well,
deal with.
smart people think we'll just say, well, your idea is pie in the sky. We're not wasting any time talking to you. So your
Well,
problem.
okay, but they've already. First of all, I already do have a follower. I didn't want to tell you that because I want to keep it private. But I haven't been doing it that long. I just wrote that secular, blog post. A month ago. I mean, what do you want? You want me it's just, how many followers do you have, Claire? I actually have more followers than you do.
Well, on Twitter, yes.
No, I mean I actually have more
That's
confirmed. I have more confirmed secular pagans than you have confirmed secular Quranists.
okay. Well, I don't think that they'd be very smart people.
Well, actually, he's a former Jew.
Well, I bet he won't want to talk to me. Because all these people you introduced me to, these no-hides, they're
He's not a
flaky, right?
Noahide. He's a secular pagan. He's not a Noahide.
Okay, so he's rejected his own religion, and he wants to form his own religion, and he's joined forces with you because there are loads of
Okay,
people
well
who
then
think they
don't.
can start their own religion.
Okay, well if I get one convert a month, as that is my current, I'll rejoice. I'll you can, I'll
Well, you
rejoice.
want them to
And
be effective. I mean,
okay, you
surely
could be. I know, but you don't understand that a small group can be effective, Claire. You come from a culture of a billion people that can't get it together, and so you just can't imagine that a few million people could accomplish anything.
well, I think we all know, and we all live in cultures where there is an elite. So it doesn't matter if you come from some tribe. The tribal leader is, well, just only one
Okay, but
with his.
a small group of smart, determined people can outdo a billion. If I had 5 million people, I could outdo a billion people. Definitely, I could.
You still need to tell them a story that they
No, I
want to
don't. I
believe
don't.
in.
No, well, I don't. No, I'm not looking for that type of person. That's why I would only have 5 million of them rather than a billion. Yeah, if you're looking for people that need to believe that Moses spread the sea and
No,
God
no,
wrote
I'm,
on
I'm not
tablets.
even talking about those stories. I'm talking about a different
Okay, but
kind of
that's a big
story
part.
that is not necessarily fictitious.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
so
what story is that?
so I'm going to tell you a story. I'm saying, if you, Vincent, acknowledge me as Messiah substitute, you will go from success to success and achieve your dream within your lifetime. So that's a story I'm telling you. You
Well,
just don't want that story because
that's
you
a
want.
promise. That's a promise that I can't bring to the bank, Claire.
Well, you don't need to go to the bank, but what you need to do
No,
is do
yeah,
what
no,
Trump
bring what
did.
in
Trump,
American and
okay, explain to me the success of Trump. People believed in him. And why do people believe in him? Because he was happy saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again without getting tired or bored or cross with people. That's what he is most famous for doing. He actually enjoyed his rallies, and most of us would think, oh, that would exhaust me. A whole year of campaigning and saying the same thing again and again. It would kill me. But he loved it. He gets his energy from the crowd, and they get their energy from him. So it was a mutually energizing process. And now he is president again. And it's not just Americans who love him. He's got all the support from from Russia, from China, from it's like, they just want Trump to win and be nice to them. And he's done it by being consistent.
okay, well, I'm not running for president of the
Okay,
United
but
States.
but I mean,
So you have to
surely.
dumb down. Like, you know what? Even though she did it, Margaret Sanger in her writings regretted the fact that she had to dumb down her message for the masses. She
Of
said that.
course you have to.
She said she had to drag her ideals through the mud, but I don't want to do that.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't want
not asking you to compromise on anything. No, we have to find out what it is you want to achieve in your own right. And I'm saying,
Okay, but it doesn't need to be in my lifetime.
but
But
okay,
I have examples. I grew up with examples of people who started out small and then it turned into something big. That's my examples. I don't come from your culture where it's everything is about status, power, money, immediate success. That's what Hindus are like. Hindus are so fucking useless. All they do is say that everyone else is more successful because they have money. No, it's not about money. Whites make up 7% of the population. There's more of you. There's tons of wealth in India. It's not about money. It's about quality. It's just you have a smaller number of people, but you have a higher quality gene pool and a higher quality culture, and you're able to dominate everyone else. Not everything is money, status. You know what I mean? Like, a few determined people can do more than a whole mass
if
of
they're organized,
useless
yes,
people.
yes.
Yeah,
So
well,
so so how they think and the rules that they follow is part of their religion, right? You can't just sort of say, it's all because of our color or nationality or where we were born. All these different people, it's like, okay,
Well,
even the
part of it
Indians
is
are.
genetic. Part of it is genetic. I mean, part of it is, your intelligence and your stamina and your health and you know what I mean? Try building a civilization with a bunch of
The
low
content
IQ.
of your character and the
Yeah,
rules you follow and the stories you believe in, and it's part and parcel of religion. And that's why we're here talking about theology to each other. I mean, what is theology but stories and attempts to
well, I know I'm not
analyze
giving.
these
Okay,
stories?
I'm not giving people stories. All I'm doing is giving them a logical way to be polytheist. If they want a story, if they want to believe that Zeus, turned into a swan and had sex with someone, then go ahead. I that's not my place to, you know, give you this narrative. It's just to give you what it's to give you to make it logical and to give you a set of rules to live in so that it can be maintained rather than collapsing and falling apart and monotheists taking over.
Yes, but monotheism is the most effective form of religion.
We
You
don't
can't
know that
deny
for
that.
no. Well, look, it it did win for a while. It doesn't mean it has to win forever. The pagans didn't have secular paganism before. They weren't aware of that. They hadn't evolved, and paganism, polytheism evolves and shifts.
Okay,
And
secular paganism, how is it different from Hinduism?
well, because it's polytheism, it's not polymonism.
What's polymonism?
That's like Shatuv. It's not Shatuv.
Are you just sort of saying you're different to Hinduism because you're better
Because
than?
it's not Shatuv. No, I don't believe in Shatuv. I don't believe in the mixing of monotheism and polytheism.
Why not?
Because it's really monotheism. Soft polytheism really is monotheism. It's
So
closer
is,
to
is the
it's
Greek pantheon soft polytheism?
supposedly not, but even if it is, then I reject it
Why?
because I don't believe that monotheism is good for humans.
Why not?
Because it makes them all under one personality. It's kind of like it would be kind of like making everyone. It would kind of be like making everyone a clone of each other. In that, okay, you don't have enough genetic diversity to fight diseases and to grow and to. You need genetic diversity and you need ideological diversity too.
Well, I'm saying I can prove to you that it won't be this monoculture that you so fear, because supposing America were to adopt secular Quranism, and then then the next step would be how they're going to apply it. And I'm saying um, secular Quranism would be perfect for these different states of America who, kind of feel that they want to be part of America, but they want to preserve their own statehood, because Californians think they're better than, Texans or, whatever. And they want to feel Texan or Alabaman or whatever. And that is what, you know, I think, these ideas of which state you're from is important to American identity, or do you disagree? Because you're
Little
you're very
bit,
snobbish about each of the states.
a little bit. I mean, not as much as I think you'd like to think, but yeah, it's there. There's, you know what I mean. There's the middle of the country versus the coasts, and then there's East Coast versus West Coast, and these different kinds of things. Yeah, there are these things.
and fly over country, and so you give all these different states their own interpretation of the Quran, and they're going to do it differently. So when they start doing it
Polytheism, no,
differently, everybody will know that they can interpret it in their own way, including
you
other.
need radical diversity, because you want radical genetic diversity, you want radical ideological diversity that fits within natural law, and you want to start a society, you want to close your borders and allow murder and theft, and we'll see what happens to you. You know what I mean? Like, see what happens to you. That's what you want to do. Is that how you want to run your society? Well, no one else is going to let immigrants from your society into their society. No one's going to trade or do business with you because you're murdering each other and you're murderers and thieves. Especially if you're thieves, nobody's going to. If you're just going to steal whatever's dealt you, then nobody's going to have anything to do with you.
Okay, Sunny, we were talking about secular Quranism allowing different American states their own.
It's not diverse
And then
enough.
we're talking about
not,
the no height laws.
no,
Sunny.
it's not diverse. It's not diverse enough. You need the culture also. It's not just the rules. It's the culture, and
the culture comes from the rules.
Yeah, I know. So it's the rules. Some of the rules would be the same between the cultures and secular paganism, but the cultures would radically differentiate from each other, and that's what you want. You want to genetically and culturally move away in different directions. That's what you want to do, while still maintaining a bare minimum resemblance to each other so that you can socially communicate. Things like no murder, no theft. You need to be able to have a social contract with each other, but you want, radical diversity. You want different personality gods to be able to take over the society, and you want to match the god to the genetic capacity of the people. I mean, there's a reason why Asians are either monotheists look, Asia produced monotheism and Shatuv. Hinduism is Shatuv, and
Jews themselves knew they were supposed to be strictly monotheists, but they kept
I know it came from
lapsing back into idolatry. So it's a kind of universal failing.
Well, it came from them, and look the white people. White people could not live with God being one and not taking shape. So that's why they made the Trinity. They couldn't fucking live without it. And my only problem.
Okay, so you're saying Gentiles wanted to worship a man? Well, is that what you're saying? I'm just
Particularly white people wanted it to be closer to polytheism and closer to idolatry. They, and the brown Muslims in Asia didn't want that. They totally rejected even Shatuv. I mean, my only problem with white Christians and what they did is they didn't go far enough. They said he's 1 and 3 instead of saying he was just 3. And, also saying that God can only take shape in one man, but they couldn't live without making God more than one and making God turn into a man. They just couldn't live without it.
Yes, and it's idolatry. And then they said, "Oh, who cares?"
I know, but I think that's a racial. I think there's
no, it's not racial. It's universal. It's like people are prone. They have the Jews would call the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. So people are tempted by the 7 deadly sins. It doesn't matter if you're white or brown or yellow or black.
Well, I think there's a reason why strict monotheism is more for darker races and Shatuv is more for lighter races.
No, it's the same. I mean, the Hindus also practice it, and white people also practice it with their Christianity.
Yeah, they practice Shatuv. And the Indo-European is a word for a reason. There's a continuum, a racial continuum there. There's a racial continuum there. But they totally rejected Shatuv. They didn't want it in Arabia. They don't want it in Pakistan. They don't want it in, these Arab
Yeah,
countries.
because their book tells them to reject it. The
Yeah,
Jews
but they
and the
came up with
Muslims,
that.
and
They came up with that.
yeah, I
That's
know, and of course they feel they have to follow it, and they do, and their civilization is slightly different
Well,
to.
that's the second. It's the second time that an Asiatic tribe came up with pure monotheism. First, it was the Jews, and then it was the Arabs.
Well, okay, well, it came from the Middle East,
Yeah,
and the
I
Middle
know, and
East is
I think
somewhere between, Asia and Europe. But
yeah,
I
and I
don't
think
think it matters.
there's a genetic component to it. Look, the Romans used to complain about the poor behavioral quality of the people in that region, whether they were pagan or Jewish. They used to, they said that they were untrustworthy and that they were nothing but trouble. And I think that that's part of, yeah, it is racial. I do. Why do black
Okay,
people
you
commit
can't prove it because
Okay, why do black people commit more crimes? Do you think it's all social, or do you think there's a genetic component?
yeah, it would be a mixture of.
Yeah, and so the creation of monotheism is a mixture of whatever happened to
No,
them
no,
socially,
you're
plus.
not even. You just quickly skipped over. It's like, okay, black people in the West, we know, are associated with being low status because white people already know that they are higher status than black people, and
Okay, that has
therefore
nothing.
it makes.
The
Okay,
question is crime
you don't even
genetic?
want me to finish my point.
The question is crime genetic? That's the question.
Okay, it could be and it could be. You can't really decide. So all you can do is look for the common factors. Like it's most okay. Poor people are mostly are more likely to be convicted of a crime. You could say, well, the law's not fair. Rich people can afford lawyers, or you can say, well, poor people because they are in need tend to steal and live with horrible people whom they might want to kill. Or you can make up all these excuses for them. And because they're poor, they tend not to marry, or if they marry, they're married and the marriages don't work. Or you can say it's all a class thing. But
Okay,
I'm
but
saying that even if America.
if there's differences between the races, then these different outcomes have to have at least some genetic component. All I'm saying is that some genetic component led the two Semitic races to become monotheists. That's what I'm
Yeah, because
saying.
it's a logical development of ideas.
No, it's not. Well, then everyone would have done it, and the Christians
No,
didn't do
no,
it.
not everybody is logical. Most people are
So
stupid and
illiterate Arabs,
corrupt.
so only illiterate Arabs from the 600s were logical, whereas these learned Christian theologians,
They're not learned because
they were more
they
learned than the
lied to
Arabs were.
themselves.
Oh, please, all Arabs go on about is how everyone was so illiterate that nobody would have had the ability to know about embryology, and that's why the Quran's embryology is such a miracle, because he was so illiterate and everyone was so dumb and illiterate.
The reason, okay, okay, we both know that Muhammad was called the unlettered prophet, and one of the reasons they said is because so nobody's ever going to accuse him of having written the Quran, because it would be like, oh, expecting a New York taxi driver to come up with the complete works of Shakespeare. It's like it's obvious that they can't do it. And okay, so what you also mentioned that Arabs and Jews are desert people, low status desert people, and that is a common feature of the two groups. And yeah, so you might ask, well, why God did you give your scripture to these low status people? And the answer is obvious, isn't it? If he exists, what do you think the answer might be?
I have no idea.
To show that even the lowest status people, and you can't get any lower than a fleeing landless slave, that if they followed my instructions, they'll become the world's most ancient and powerful tribe. There you go.
Well, I don't know about that, but this is different from the fact that different races choose different ideologies to follow.
Well, obviously there will be, there are more idolatrous religions in the world than there are monotheist religions. So if we're going to just stick to five world religions, then
Well, no, those
only
ones aren't
two
even
are acceptable to
idolatry.
God.
It's not even idolatry, and Shatuf is permissible for Gentiles, so.
No, actually, it's not because
Said who? Said who it's not. All I hear is that
the Jews would say,
which Jews? You think there's no disagreement there about whether Shatuf is permissible for Gentiles? I can show you. They debate
I'm
over
sure
it.
Jews don't think truth is a great thing. Let's go do it. God approves.
No, well, not for Jews, but for Gentiles, it's not a problem.
No, because of the Noahide laws. Because basically,
Which
the Jews,
allows
by
Shatuf
creating
to.
the Noahide laws, were saying that Gentiles and Jews should worship the same God.
No, it just said no idolatry. It didn't say that they. It just recommended
Of
no
course, it means
idolatry.
worshiping the same God. Come on.
No, but no, it doesn't. That's a very
Look,
technical.
logically, if
No,
there's
this is
only
very
one God,
technical. Okay, so then why if it's not just no idolatry, why wouldn't you be put to death for not worshiping the one true God of Israel? Why wouldn't you be put to death for that if that's what they meant?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay,
So,
if the law is that you have to worship the one true God, why aren't people put to death for not worshiping the true God? You're only put to death if you bow before an idol, not for not worshiping the one true God. You don't have to worship the one true God.
look, I don't know about these things, but the point is that um, if you're a Gentile living in the ancient kingdom of Israel, and the Jews were being observant, they're not going to have these, any Gentile bowing before idols.
I know, but that's just the Gentile didn't need to worship the one true God of Israel.
Yeah, but okay, they're going to use a lower standard for practical reasons because maybe the Jews didn't fancy rounding up all these Gentiles and making them worship God in whatever way they were supposed to be worshiping the only Abrahamic God. So it's like, well, as long as you don't worship idols in our kingdom, you can stay. And that was the unspoken agreement. So they used a lower standard. What's wrong with that? It's for
I know, but
practical.
you are saying that the law makes it so that everyone has to worship the one true God of Israel, and they don't.
No, the ideal. So we have to consider the difference between the legal standard and the ideal standard. So the ideal is that if we're all righteous individuals, we would see the logic and morality of worshipping the one and only God.
You know what's logical? Not jaywalking. That's logical. The monotheism is not just because it's the simplest answer. The simplest answer is not always 100% in every single last instance the right answer. And since we don't know the answer, there are benefits to making a more complicated answer in this instance.
Occam's razor was
Yeah, I know, but
mentioned.
that doesn't always work. It's not. It's not. It doesn't. It's not foolproof.
Well, what they say about moving parts in any machine. It's like if you want to design a machine that isn't always breaking down, have as few moving parts as possible, because the more complicated it is, the more likely it is to break down.
Okay, but machines are complicated and have more than one, inventor or engineer involved in
Yeah, yeah.
creating them.
So you can imagine like light bulbs. If you look at the early versions, I mean, they're really, really complicated. And now we have the simplest version. And it's the
No,
same with
cars are complicated. You think modern machinery is not complicated? What about computers? They're super complicated. Have tons of internal moving parts. I mean, there's
no, well, no,
this
no,
I
no. Solid state is the answer to moving parts, right?
look. You can't have a machine. Well, most machines have moving parts.
Okay, the difference between, the hard drive that is solid state and the old-fashioned form of hard drive is that, the old hard drive would just, rotate and move around and you can hear it doing stuff. And then they said, and then the new one is a solid state. So it's all, on one, I don't know, panel or
Okay, well,
whatever.
the existence of the other one.
Hello? Okay, I don't know. Vincent, you've dropped out. I can't hear you.
You're
If you're
saying that
saying,
you can't say it's impossible. It's not impossible, and I have reasons to believe. I have ethical reasons to believe in polytheism.
okay, what have I said is impossible? Because you dropped out for a bit.
Okay, polytheism is not impossible. You would have to prove that it's impossible.
Without the stories of the Bible, you can deduce that if there was a creation, there must have been a creator.
Well, I'm saying there were multiple creators.
Okay, and then we'll have to say, how do you know? You're just making
Well,
shit
how do
up, aren't
you
you?
know? How do you know, Claire,
Well, I'm
that
using
there's only?
my powers of deduction. So unless a universe created itself,
I'm not
then
saying it
something
did.
created the universe.
I'm not saying it did.
Okay, so you
I'm
have to
not
decide on
saying.
the narrative of whether the universe was always there and doesn't need
No, I
anything.
don't. It was made by pre-existing deities. It wasn't always there. I'm not saying that. You could have it both ways. You could be a polytheist who believes that um that there were creator deities.
Okay, and then you'll have to give them a name and a story and all that.
No, I
People
don't.
will
No,
say,
I don't have
how
to
do
give
you
them names.
know?
I don't need to give them. I'm not giving. Make up read your own mythology and have your own story. I'm not making up one for you. It's very simple. Other people have made up plenty of stories for you to choose from. So I don't need to make up anything.
So the most plausible story remains the story
Most
of the
pl-
Abrahamic God.
That's not. No, it's not the most. It not the Abrahamic God. Maybe it's monotheism is a simpler explanation to polytheism, but that's all you can say is that it's a simpler explanation. And it comes with a lot of problems. It comes with monoculture. It comes with people don't want to do it, then they rebel against it. You might as well, if people just want to rebel and become, if people just want to rebel and you might as well make a polytheistic system that works. You might as well
Okay,
just
and
make a
that was
poly.
what that was what happened before until
Well, it didn't work. It
monotheism
didn't
came
work.
along and beat all the
Well, it
polytheists.
didn't. It didn't work because they didn't have secular paganism. They didn't know how to deal with monotheism, and but now we do. Now at least we're learning. We can learn how to deal with monotheism, and if we figure that out, then we'll be fine. We're not dead. We're not disappeared. There might be more polytheists in the world than there are Jews, and if polytheists can get it together, if they can't, then oh well, then I'm shit out of luck, and that's it. But it's not impossible for them to do it. And, you just want to bet and bet and bet on things not happening, like new technology not happening, people not figuring out new ways, that I'm not going to get any more converts, even though I already have one, though I've been working at it for a month and I got one. So, I don't know what to tell you, Claire. I mean, you can't take away these possibilities,
You're
the
roboting.
fact that they are possibilities, and and these possibilities, they are possibilities. It's possible. It's possible.
Okay, so I'm glad, a lot of our recent discussions have come back, about, like that discussion we had about the super majority in California being possibly overturned. So
Yeah,
you're
but this is
okay. I'm
different.
saying
This
my
we're
my
not
my
talking.
idea is more probable than your idea.
No, it's simpler. It's not more probable. It's simpler.
Yeah, it has fewer moving parts. I don't have
So
to,
what? That doesn't mean it's more probable. It's just simpler. It's a simpler machine, but I'm saying maybe simple is not the best way to
Okay, I mean,
go. And
you have certain advantages. I mean, maybe you're not perceived to be that dangerous, so you don't, get your, video suppressed or followers suppressed or whatever.
no, there's more that I have more ideological diversity amongst my followers than Muslims do. It's
It's
each
a
individual,
problem.
the individuals are more different from each other than in Islam. There's more of a capacity for radical divergence in opinions and cultures than you want radical divergence in opinions and cultures. You don't want to, bring everyone under a certain one tutelage deity. It's like you don't want just more. You want more than one teacher. You want more than one teacher in a school, and even very smart people. It's not good to let one person design everything because even very smart people are limited and don't see certain things and don't understand certain things. And so it's very good to have input even with a very smart person.
Yeah, but I'm going with the Jewish Christian Islamic narrative of divine revelation and
Yeah, well, I
law.
don't need any of that. I don't need any divine. Nobody can. I don't have anything that people can poke holes in. I'm not saying that somebody split a sea or did this or did that and ridiculous things. I'm not making up stories, and nobody can poke holes in it. But all they're going to be able to say, they're not going to be able to say anything because it's all based on natural law.
So am I basing my ideas on natural law? So I'm saying
Mm,
even without the Bible stories or the New Testament, people can work out if they want to believe in God that God created everything, and
Okay,
once
well, I believe that many
and then
gods
they can
created
wonder if God
everything.
is good or evil, whether
I
he
know. Well,
can.
that's the other thing that he doesn't seem good because of all the evil in the world. Whereas I don't have to make that extra step and say, well, you're being tested and all this other kind of stuff. I don't
But
need to
people
get
want to
into
be
that.
tested
Okay, but people
because
also
they
don't
want
want to
to
worship a
live on
God who's
after they're dead.
okay. People don't want a God who hurts them in any kind of way.
But they want a
So
God who
in
hurts their enemies.
okay, yeah, you can hurt your enemies, but not you. You don't want to. You don't want to. People get angry at God because God got them hit by a truck. You know what I mean? People hate God because He took their children away from them. With
Well, if they
polytheistic,
are humble, if they are truly, um,
what does humility have to do with it? With your children are murdered?
well, you'll have to think, well, maybe I'm being punished. Did I do something wrong?
The idea that everybody who has bad things happen to them, it's because they did something wrong, is really evil. That's even Hindus
No,
do that.
no,
They
no.
they blame
Okay, but
everything.
okay.
They
The story of Job. You know the story of Job, don't you?
no that that's it's what did Job do wrong? He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, but if nothing bad happened to him, and if he wasn't restored because of his faith in God, then I guess he
Not
would have
everyone
just
is
died
not
forgotten,
not
right?
everyone is restored. Some people are very faithful to God and live horrible lives. It's not a
And that's
guarantee
why we
being
need to believe in the afterlife to believe
okay.
that
You're adding.
good will be rewarded and evil punished in the next life.
You have to add all these addendums to make it make sense. You
Yeah,
have to
I've
add,
already added all that, and you can understand, therefore, why it is important for us to believe that the Abrahamic God is omnipotent, omniscient, and perfectly moral, because
yeah, but that gives
that's the
people
only way to make belief in that good will be rewarded and evil punished logical, because it's like, well, if what we want good being rewarded and evil being punished, um, we would need somebody capable of doing these things. And that
well,
is why,
a limited deity can also do that thing. Just because a deity is limited doesn't mean that it can't do everything that you see in the universe or can't do these things that you're talking about.
okay, but then it would be not as powerful as the Abrahamic God. So then I'm
Okay,
going
but
to ask you, if you're trying to
and
sell
how
it to me, why would I believe in a less powerful God when I could believe in a more powerful God?
And what exactly is your more powerful God giving you? What evidence do you have that your more powerful God is doing anything more for you than a less powerful God? Even Kolkov said that you can't prove that God is all powerful versus just being powerful enough to do everything that he's doing. There's no difference. If you said God is powerful enough versus God is all powerful, nothing in this universe changes. Nothing.
Why not?
What changes? God is powerful enough to do everything he's doing, or he's all powerful. What changes? Tell me what has changed.
Well, there will be good and evil because our lives.
But what has changed? What has changed?
Well, things being different. I don't think I
How?
understand your question.
Okay, if God,
Events.
God is all powerful versus God only has enough power to do everything he is doing in the universe. What has changed? So if I say God is all powerful, I mean, has something changed in the universe? Has my life changed?
No, we're talking about the afterlife, right? So if he's all powerful, then he will be running hell, he'll be running heaven, he'll be deciding who gets to be reincarnated into a better or worse life, depending on their conduct in this life. These things are supposed to be, are in the course of being done, right? That's the whole idea. So obviously you won't be certain whether God exists, and in fact you're not meant to know. But the test is to give you a choice between following the rules and not following the rules, and passing the exam.
Okay,
to
this
get
is
to the
all
better
just a
place.
story. This is all a story you made up, and smart people are just not going to necessarily believe these stories.
Well, smart people can understand that if they wanted their group to remain in existence, then it would help if they made most people, the general public, believe in this narrative. And that there'd be, also this life advantages in that people will just be happier and accept their lot more with more grace.
Well, I actually say that what made Western civilization successful is that we don't just accept our lot like Hindus do. We don't just accept it. Like, you fight back about it. You allow yourself to be unhappy. You allow yourself to be upset. You allow yourself to fight back and work hard and, not accept
And,
it.
and have children
And
be
say
married
no.
parents.
And just say no. But the thing is that in the West, when we don't accept what God has given us, we don't just accept it. It's no, you change it and you make it what you want it to be.
Well, we can try, but we sort of need to know what's possible and what's probable, and spend our time and energy in a productive way that will lead to us going to the better place in our next life.
Okay, but just for somebody who isn't going to say they know things they can't know, that's just not an option. To say, well, I know I'm going to a better life, so now I'm happy. A dumb person can say that, but a person who's overly educated and has a high IQ is just going to say, I really don't know.
Okay, and I have positioned myself as an agnostic. But
yeah, so
and
you
don't
know.
have to even. Yeah, I mean, actually, everybody is agnostic, except some people don't know that they only believe that they know. They don't actually know. They may never know. If God doesn't exist, they'll die not knowing, and that's it. But religion clearly has social and political utility.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me? Hi, Vincent. I can see my avatar pulsating.
Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
I mean, the point is that you can achieve worldly success in this life through, patience and perseverance and choosing your friends and spouse wisely and choosing to spend your time in a productive way, etc., etc.
Well,
I don't.
see,
The thing is, Vincent, I think you're smart enough to know that the Abrahamic God or the idea of him is just light years ahead of what you're trying to do, and therefore you.
why? It hasn't even, one time there was a time when monotheism was a new system, and I'm sure people said, "What are you doing? This has never been tried before. This is brand new." You know what I mean? Well, first of all, I mean, now I would know to not allow it, but I mean, maybe in a different world where monotheism didn't cause problems. I'm the type of person that's like, go ahead, try. Maybe it'll be interesting. I'm not going to just like stick with the status quo in every single instance.
Yeah, but because I think you would know that if you tried to suppress monotheism, it would it would grow. It's like God saying to Adam and Eve, "I'm going away for the weekend. Don't you be touching the tree of knowledge or the tree of life." And I'm sure it never even occurred to them to eat from the tree of knowledge and the tree of life until God told them not to. So I think it was intentional. But anyway, these stories, however much scorn you pour on them, have emotional and historical resonance. And this knowledge of these stories is how people connect to each other. I mean, right now, you can see how people try to connect to each other online. It's like, did you see this movie? Do you like this band? And it's like, well, it's going to be difficult to bond with each other, on the basis of your music. But I actually at the weekend I saw a Spotify ad um, saying, well, there is this gay couple who merged their playlists and have become a couple. And it's like, well, it's not going to be the most effective way of, learning about each other. But okay, Spotify, if you're going to promote that narrative, but you're going to lose to the Jews and the Muslims who have this ready-made narrative that's been running for centuries.
Yeah, but just because something's been running doesn't mean it's the best system. I mean, we had monarchy forever and ever, and now we don't.
Well, people just need to go back to it, right? Because even now, I mean, going back to what you were saying earlier about, the rabbi going on about the Noahide laws, it is sort of, one nation under God, one. It's like it's already there in your consciousness, even though you're obviously trying to forget about it.
Well, there's
Because
more than one nation,
it's not.
and our one nation is made up of many states. It's just these analogies that everything is one don't hold water. There's more than one country,
There's only
and
one
there's
supreme
50.
authority. There's only one Supreme Court. There's only one president.
Well, yeah, but that would be a secular pagan court that ran on natural principles, not, you know, not. Okay, you want it so that you only want the most basic laws in common. You only want the most basic culture in common. So I'm just spreading no murder, no theft, right? And then I'm saying, as long as I know animal cruelty, I'm saying if you follow those three rules and enforce them through a court, then the rest of your culture is not as necessary. But I also added you have to double your population every generation. So you need reproduction as well. But
Okay, and can you imagine the questions that will be asked? It's like, you did mention sexual morality, Vincent. So, but you still want us to breed. Who's going to be, marrying each other? Are you saying that men who marry women don't have to expect, have no right to expect their women to only give birth to the children of their husband? You're saying that the
It
husband,
depends. It depends.
it
Find some
depends.
way. Find some way. Look, if a man wants his look in Sparta, they sometimes used to do that where
Well,
a
Sparta
man.
is extinct.
Okay, well, maybe they went extinct because they didn't have laws for reproduction or didn't even try. And I told you, if I were the emperor of Rome, I would have just taxed bachelors and set up a temple, and I would have tried something. I would have tried something. I wouldn't have just, done nothing like they did. They did nothing. And so they didn't get creative, and they thought that, they could just get by with the regular marriage and leaving reproduction up to the citizens, the most important thing in your society, just leaving it up to chance. And that's just not a good, obviously, it's not a good system, and it's not a good way to maintain your population. But so is, look, if people are just going to rebel against monotheism and sexual imposition, then find a way that people are not constantly rebelling against your system. You don't want boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. And then people go in the other direction. If you repress sexuality, then they go in the other direction, and everyone becomes gay and a whore and, all this other kind of stuff.
So you have to have a happy medium, and I propose to have licensed brothels in red light districts, and I would allow gay people, discreet gay people, to go about their business, to shag and shack up with each other, provided that they're not convicted of a public indecency offence. So it's already there. You just don't want it because it's my idea. But I'm
No, not
saying,
because excuse me, no, because Claire, do you think that I didn't have my own opinions that were different from yours before I met you? Do you think that I just do you think I just came in as a blank slate and said, oh, these are Claire's ideas, and even though I don't have any of my own opposing ideas, I'm just going to reject them because they're hers?
yes.
So you think I was a blank slate before I met
No,
you?
no, you don't have to be a blank slate, but you can reject my ideas because they're mine
Yeah, but
and
they're
not
in
yours.
opposition. They're in opposition to the values I held before I even met
Okay,
you.
what are your values?
We've gone through no monotheism, no anti-blasphemy, no regulation of sexual morality, no murder, no theft, no animal cruelty, set of courts of justice. Those are my morals.
Okay, so I'm saying I'm more moral than you because I propose to obey more rules than you, and therefore people should trust me because I'm more moral than you, Vincent.
Okay, if it's about more rules, the Torah has more rules for Gentiles, or the Torah has more rules than secular Quranism does. So maybe I should follow the Torah. It has more rules.
Well, it would be dangerous for people like you. I'm saying that the Quran is a happy medium.
Okay,
It's
but
a
you just said
Goldilocks version of theology.
you told me that the reason you're more moral is because you have more rules. So anyone who has more
Because
rules
I
than
propose to obey. You know, yeah, I'm trying to obey the no hide laws.
well, if your criteria is how many rules you follow, then anyone who has more rules than you would be more moral than you.
Yes, until they have so many rules that they claim to follow that nobody believes that they're going to follow them, like those Jews with their 613 laws.
Well, the only laws they don't follow are the temple laws, but all the rest they do.
Well, they don't really, but you know.
What temple rules do Orthodox? Okay, besides
No,
temple
I'm
rules.
saying a lot of Jews are not observant Jews,
Okay,
so
but we're
they
not
break
talking
the
about them.
Sabbath.
We're talking about observant Jews. What do observant Jews break?
I don't know. Sometimes they break the Sabbath, or you know, they do something wrong, and they're more likely to do something wrong because there's so many rules. While
Well, if
Islam
you're
is Judaism light and secular Quranism is Islam light, and hopefully that should be good enough to make things work in our country. And you could support it as a gay man. And then people would start noticing because they'll be going, oh, what's a gay man? Isn't he afraid of being thrown off tall buildings and blah, blah? And then they'll want you to be on their show and explain why not. And you'll be belle of the ball.
oh, what's a belle hard.
Yes, you will, but you have to say it consistently. But right now they can't take your secular paganism seriously because you need a
What? Well,
narrative.
pagan. No, pagans don't need. Look, the pagan. Then
The
why was I
pagans
able?
will never be able to get their acts together.
Okay, well, with secular paganism, they can if they follow it. I can't force them.
Oh,
I can't force
I
them, but if
know
they
you
do,
can't force them. That
I know,
you
but
know.
you can't force them to follow secular. I have more followers than you do, Claire. So
Okay,
maybe you
okay,
should.
okay. Well, you already understand my. I think you're aware of my itinerary. I'm only bumping along at the bottom because nobody above me, nobody in government in a senior position, will be seen dead entertaining my idea. But I think now that Trump is in charge, my ideas are more likely to see the light of day. And,
Okay,
and
well,
I,
let's
I I would like
see.
to enjoy my success with you
Claire, I don't
because
know.
you
Trump.
are American
Trump is
and
more
you're
likely.
gay and your morals are comfortably low, so people aren't going to get scared. You're not some, Daniel Hockey Card Jew person. And everybody go, "Ooh, Vincent, how could you?" And they'll be so curious, and you'll never look back. And I'm saying you shouldn't reject my idea just because it's my idea.
I'm not
Because,
rejecting it just because it's your idea, but because it just flies in the face of everything that I held before I ever even met you.
but I mean, I think you can understand, even your idea of um, when you talk about heterosexuals being degenerate, it is because you sort of you have noticed that people should have higher standards of choosing their sex partner, right? I mean, that's what you're saying in effect. People
Well, but
should,
they're not going to. They're not. They're
well,
not going
they're more
to.
likely to under the new regime. Under the new regime, which you will help found and establish. And then it'll be, oh, even a gay man can understand how it works. And you do. And then we can have, I don't know, a discussion about eugenics, and then people will, huff and puff about it, but, eventually accept that marriage is eugenic. And what's enough straight people have children, heterosexual men will be, okay about men being gay because it means a gay man means one less man competing with a straight man for women. So they needn't be, hostile.
Hmm.
So I think, I mean, how would you define morality?
I gave you my morals.
Okay, but you're saying your morals are fewer, your principles are fewer.
Okay, yours are fewer than the Noahide laws or Judaism or Quranism or Islam. Yours are fewer too.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
Muslims would
saying
say they're distorted. Muslims are not going to agree with red light districts for the most part.
I know, but I think it is useful to make sure that there is clear blue water between my interpretation and their interpretation. So so for identification purposes, I need to make sure that I may be selling more or less the same thing, but mine is different and probably more acceptable to people who have been sexually liberated, who are accustomed to ideas such as civil partnerships and gay marriage and stuff like that. So they'll have to be gradually weaned off their culture of casual sex. And I have the transitional arrangements that I've been banging on about for years. And Vincent, your morals are comfortably low. So, so nobody's going to get all frightened. But if you were Daniel Hockey, can't you? They would be frightened. And you're just so perfect for so many reasons, but you just won't do it. I mean, you actually understand theology. You are, and you have a track record of, being associated with, Adam Green, and all kinds of people have heard of you. And now you're known on both sides of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I don't think, well, I'd like
Joshua
to
was
make a,
really happy to have you.
I'd like to make a movie of, a bunch of like some kind of like dystopia where gay men have taken over and enforce secular Quranism on heterosexuals, and we just live above you and watch you get whipped. We can have public whippings, and we can all come out and make fun and all that other kind of stuff. You're the one on your blog. You said people can rent out, things to throw at people who are, up,
rotten fruit, rotten fruit, or
you said missiles.
yeah, kind of balls to hurt, but not kill. Well, it wouldn't be stonings; it would be of something else. That won't kill them. So you buy one, or you buy a bunch of them, and then you throw them at the person.
Oh God, Claire, this is just ridiculous.
It's going to be fun. People can get into the spirit of the thing and think of it in terms of, drama documentaries and game shows and competitions and stuff, and maybe even lotteries. I mean, I have so many fun ideas. But obviously I need somebody, who is well known also to agree with me, who's American and already, who isn't some sort of fake person with a fake profile. And when you do, then everything will just fall into place, because we're already known to the others, who for some reason, for reasons of their own, they won't talk about us because, But I think there will be, okay, I do expect the online rules to change. And I hope that we will be a beneficiary. And we have Grok, and it's so useful. With the plays and the stories, did you read the two that I did this weekend?
Not this weekend, but I read the one about me.
Yeah, that was quite good. Oh, the one about the rabbis is quite funny. I hope you do get around to reading it.
Oh, can you send it to me again? I don't remember getting that.
It's I sent it to you on Telegram, and so you should have it. And it's basically, it's only a few days ago, so you don't have to scroll up that far. And so the scene is these rabbis being accused of committing one of the 36 capital offenses. Read it out, because I think you'll laugh, because I laughed when I read it. I was amazed that because I saw AI just generating all this stuff within seconds, and I thought, if I were a playwright, I would be so scared and defeated.
Yeah.
Please read it, because I think you'll find it funny.
Okay, I will.
It's only short.
I will.
Thank you.
I was a little bit upset. Last time in 2020 on election day, they put out an article about Trump and Noahide, and they haven't done it. I keep searching for, like, I'm looking for the Jews to be like, Noahide isn't, whatever, like they did the last time that Trump was their man, but they didn't do it this time.
Well, the Jews didn't endorse him?
No, they didn't write their little article about how he's the champion of Noahide law.
Well, they might soon. Because I mean,
Yeah,
if I were a rabbi, I'd say, "Oh, this is a time for social conservatism and the remoralization of the American Republic." Blah blah blah. I'm sure that they'll be coming thick and fast. All these ideas of we've turned a corner. Things are going to be better. We're going to send all these sort of women who want abortion away.
are you getting tired?
Oh no, I was just waiting for you to read the short
Oh,
story.
oh, you want me to read it now?
To read it aloud.
Hold on, I gotta find it. The Blame Game, immigrant. Okay, hold on.
It's
You
on
sent.
Sunday. I sent it. I'm sure I sent it to you on Sunday, and it's on Substack.
Okay, a
And
play about dystopian theocracy.
yes, yes.
Oh, this is a little bit long. Can I read this on my own?
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
well, oh, this is. Oh, it has acts and everything. This is.
It's a play and dialogue.
Oh, it's two plays.
Well, okay, one was a play, and then I asked for a story to build on, the previous play, and that was it. But
Okay,
yeah, it
let's.
could be made into a movie.
Okay, setting one. In a dystopian future Jerusalem where the Sanhedrin has been reestablished as a supreme authority, the city is a blend of ancient stone and futuristic technology with digital displays showing Torah verses and the faces of the accused. Characters: Rabbi Eliyahu, the chief rabbi, cunning and politically savvy; Rabbi Shimon, a young idealistic rabbi new to the Sanhedrin but quickly rising; Rabbi Yitzhak, an elderly respected member of the Sanhedrin, seen as the moral compass; Rabbi Leah, the first woman to sit on the Sanhedrin, often underestimated. She wouldn't be on there. The
Hmm.
accuser, a mysterious figure, possibly AI generated, who facilitates the accusations. The Act One, the assembly. The scene opens in the grand chamber of the Sanhedrin. Rabbis are seated around a circular table with screens floating above showing laws from the Torah. Rabbi Eliyahu addressing the assembly: brothers and sisters in Torah, we gather not only to uphold our sacred laws, but to purify our ranks from within. Let us begin. Rabbi Shimon eagerly: I propose we review the case of Rabbi Yitzhak. There are whispers he has misinterpreted the laws regarding the Sabbath. Rabbi Yitzhak calmly: my interpretation has been consistent with halakha for over 30 years. It is my age or my wisdom you are challenging. Rabbi Leah, let us not forget the charge of idolatry. I've heard tales of Rabbi Eliyahu's secret meetings with technological entities, perhaps seeking counsel beyond the Torah. Rabbi Eliyahu smirking, takes hold by the envious, tales told by the envious, but if we speak of technological sins, what of Rabbi Shimon's use of AI in his study? Rabbi Shimon, my use is purely for the furtherance of Torah study, not for idle or sinful purposes. The accuser's voice booms through hidden speakers. The accuser: each accusation must be followed by evidence. Let the trials begin. Okay. Act Two, the trial series of scenes shown trials in different corners of the Sanhedrin chamber. Scene one: Rabbi Yitzhak stands accused of Sabbath violation. Rabbi Shimon, I present digital records showing Rabbi Yitzhak's electronic transactions on the Sabbath. Rabbi Yitzhak, these transactions were automated before the Sabbath. My hands did not touch the work. Scene two: Rabbi Eliyahu is accused of idolatry. Rabbi Leah witnesses accounts prove Rabbi Eliyahu has consulted an AI for personal gain, not for Torah study. Rabbi Eliyahu, I consulted it to ensure our laws are upheld in the modern era. Is that not a rabbi's duty? Scene three: Rabbi Shimon defends himself against the charge of improper use of technology. Rabbi Shimon, the AI I use is programmed only to enhance our understanding of the Torah, not to replace divine wisdom. Rabbi Leah, yet it blurs the lines between man's creation and God's word. Act 3, Revelation. The assembly has become chaotic with accusations flying left and right. The accuser in this hole where the Torah should be sovereign. You've turned brother against brother. What have you truly upheld? Rabbi Leah rising. This was a test, wasn't it? To see if we could govern without succumbing to the very sins we denounce. Rabbi Yitzchak, we have failed. Our rivalry has overshadowed our duty. Rabbi Eliyahu, then let us end this. No more accusations without solid proof. We must return to the essence of our teachings. Rabbi Shimon agreed. Let's focus on guiding our people, not on internal power struggles. The accuser, so it shall be recorded. The Sanhedrin recommends the Torah's true path. Epilogue, the Sanhedrin chamber, now serene. The rabbis sit together discussing genuine issues of law and faith. Narrator, in the city of the future past, the Sanhedrin learned that the greatest stretch of their law was not from without, but from within, and so they strove to teach, lead, and live by the Torah, not just enforce it. Curtains fall, end of play.
I thought it was quite cute, the mention of AI in the play.
Yeah, no, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't have access to Grok because I don't pay.
Well, I'll put your questions if you want, and give you the benefit of the answers if you'd like.
What? Say it again?
I said, if you want any questions asked of Grok, I can do that for you and give you the answers when I receive it.
Now I get it. Yes.
So basically, you can just think of a plot and then get Grok to write a story or a play, and then you can visualize it better. Maybe I'll get Grok to write another story about us.
I mean, these groks are just.
But you see, I mean, the power of the story is that it does have a certain power, doesn't it? You can sort of imagine it now that there was a story, there were characters, there was an ending, and it was happy, and there was a bit of drama.
Hello?
You can't hear
Hello?
me anymore?
Can you?
I can hear you.
Now I can.
Right.
I can hear you now.
Okay. So you're smoking?
No, I'm not smoking.
Oh, right, you're just sighing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired. I don't know why.
Have you been working hard?
A little bit.
Oh, well, have an afternoon nap.
Well, are you done? Are we done?
I don't know. I thought you were sort of saying you're a bit tired and might want a siesta.
Maybe I am tired.
Yeah, because I was there was a space which it's still going, so you might want to go there. But Dr.
No,
Nick is there.
I'm gonna take a nap. Why don't you go and I'll talk to you soon?
All righty.
Okay.
Have a good siesta. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.